Good evening everyone, we're glad that you can join us for our virtual open evening. Obviously it'd be brilliant if we could have had everyone attending at the moment, but with the lockdown and the government restrictions we've decided to do a virtual open evening, and hopefully we'll see a lot of your faces at our December taster sessions if you want to join the course for the next academic year. Tonight really is just going to give you an overview of what we offer, what the course involves, what you can expect from us, what we would expect from students and players that join our course. My name is Joe Williamson, I'm the Education Manager. This is Ryan Lake, the Head of Football and Recruitment. So Ryan will cover a lot of the football aspects. I'll go through the main overview of the programme and the education side of things. Please don't worry if you can't see the slides as we go through the live video. We will post a link to those slides at the end. And if you've got any questions as we go through it, please put them in the comments section and we'll do our best to answer any of those questions at the end of the live presentation. So just to get started, welcome to the Football Education Academy. It's an academy for 16 to 19-year-old women and men who want to play football as well as doing their further education studies. You can see a couple of photos there from the classrooms. We've got a site at Norton and Handsworth which we're presenting from tonight that we'll go through in more detail as we go along. So just to give you an overview of who we are. So the foundation works in areas of sports participation, education, health and social inclusion. Now the Football Education Academy has recently been rebranded as that and used to be the Futsal and Education Scholarship. We rebranded this of giving a bigger and wider experience to sports industry through external work placements, different opportunities to play 11-a-side, development football, and moving away from that futsal programme as the numbers increased on the programmes, which you'll see as we go through. So just touching on a few of our partners as we have grown and turned into the Football and Education Academy. So we work with the Premier League, the AFL Trust, League Football Education, Sheffield College, the University of Sheffield, and Handsworth Football Club. These partners will vary in terms of providers for our education platforms or the hosts of our facilities and our programmes such as Handsworth and the University of Sheffield. So what we offer a full-time study programme for students aged 16 to 19. That could be at a level 1, level 2, level 3 basis, or we also have traineeships as well. In terms of your sporting ability, your education qualifications, Sheffield United Community Foundation has a course for you. So when it comes to your GCSE results day, don't worry if you're not getting 8s, 9s in your grades. We've got something that we can offer that will give you a full-time education platform as well as the opportunity to play football with your friends and people that you meet on the course for the next 2 years of your study time. Just to recap there, so we've got a few students in the classroom, fixtures on trips and visits. It's a 2-year full-time course on the level 3. If you join us on a level 2 programme, you'd study with us for the first 12 months, hopefully really enjoy your experience and carry on with us to level 3. We have got some students that we'll touch on later on in the slides that have joined us at a level 2 and progressed through the level 3 and even done a degree with us and then moved on to work for the foundation. So in terms of the team then, I'm the education manager and obviously the whole operation in terms of managing the staff and the day-to-day operations at the sites. Ryan Collins is our curriculum leader who looks after all the quality assurance, the teaching observations and line managing the teaching staff. Ryan Lake, who sat opposite me, line manages the coaching staff and runs the development and football programme. We've got Jenna, James, Liam, Craig and Sophie as tutors. We've got Pembo, Joe, Rich, James, Amy and Charlotte as coaching staff, and Aidan and Mo as our learning mentors. Now, I just want to touch on meeting the team because for me it's one thing that makes this programme unique to any other provider within the region. The actual staff to student ratio for a post-16 education programme is really high comparable to others that are doing a similar sort of programme. So, for example, our learning mentors, Aidan and Mo, they don't have any teaching hours, they work full-time, 35 hours a week to develop those students on a personal and from a progress point of view, whether that's behaviour, punctuality, helping them apply for jobs, looking at CVs, any pastoral welfare concerns, so there's somebody available at all times that isn't just delivering those education sessions. Then we've got fully qualified teachers delivering your education, and you've also got the curriculum leader and myself as the education manager will be very hands-on and available in the classroom as well. So the level of support is really, really solid in terms of your education. And also on the football side of things, which Ryan will touch on in a bit more detail when we come So we've got two centres. We've got one at Norton, which is on Warminster Road at the University of Sheffield, with a absolutely fantastic pitch and facility, 2 classrooms upstairs in the main building, and that's the two options that we'll be looking at. Will take into consideration where you live and where you're coming from geographically. In terms of the Women's Development Centre, that is down at Handsworth, and we also have men's there, but the Women's Development Centre is exclusively down at Handsworth. So we launched the women's programme in September 2018 with 11 students, and we've now got 42 students on the women's programme. So it's progressed really well. The women got to the cup final this year. They're started really well in the CIFA League this season before we moved into a lockdown. And the feedback that I'll touch on later is the progress that the girls are making and the men's on this pathway has been really, really good. One of the male students as well has also had the opportunity to train with Sheffield United under 18s after only being on the programme for a couple of weeks. So the relationship's working really well, even though it's a new setup here. In terms of, again, for travel, Handsworth, you can look at that base if you've got the men's programme. As I said, from a women's perspective, is exclusively down at Handsworth currently on a level 3 programme. So in terms of our growth then, there's an overview. So just looking at how the department's grown and looking at our success rates and percentages moving forward from the students. So you can see 2011 we had 7 learners and we progressed right through to 2020, and we've now got over 200 learners studying various different courses, whether that's a traineeship, a BTEC, a full honours degree. That, like I've said, some of our students have gone through that full pathway. I'd like to think that growth, especially looking at from 2018 as we've rebranded and built up a big team that's responsible for a large number of students, that these numbers keep increasing, because the reputation and the success that we're having and the facilities that we're offering is something that a lot of students within Sheffield are now looking to come and join when they leave school in year 11. I'll just play this video for you as a little preview of the sites and what we've got on offer. So that's just a little glimpse of the facilities on offer and the things that you can get out of the course that you're doing in terms of some of the jobs. So the BTEC Sport course will involve studying various different units covering topics such as sports development, anatomy and physiology, nutrition, technical and tactical elements in football, and these various different subjects that you will study. More often than not, you'll specialise in a certain area and then maybe go and choose to find a job in that scenario or education. And our learning mentors and staff will work with you as students to make sure that you follow the path that you want to and help you succeed to get to that career aim. One of the great things on the programme in terms of the teaching staff in particular is a lot of us have already done the BTEC Sport call as well as being the qualified teachers. So myself in the education manager position now, many moons ago now, when I was 13, 14 years ago, I did this course myself. A lot of other tutors have done the course as well, so there's a genuine person standing in front of you that has done this course. We now have a tutor in James that not only has done a BTEC Sport course, he did the BTEC Sport course with the foundation, went away, and then came back to work with us. In terms of working with us and why you should come and study with us as opposed to other providers, we're a smaller training provider, so there's tailored education. We work with class sizes of around 20. We have a PGCE student in there, a qualified teacher, a learning mentor, and then obviously the likes of the head of football, curriculum leader and the education manager. And the contact time for the students in smaller class sizes gives a lot more attention to detail and really gives a beneficial experience to the learner in terms of their achievements and success, which we'll move on to further forward. It's a professional environment. We'd like to develop people, not just students, in an academic way. We want the students to leave their programme with us over 2 years as a better person, not just a better student in terms of their education. Associated with Premier League Football Club, added qualifications available, work experience opportunities, so you'll have a work placement mentor. COVID at the moment is obviously restricting a lot of stuff in terms of what we can offer work experience, but fingers crossed from September next year, you'll all be able to take advantage of these work experience opportunities, whether that's with external businesses, the football club, the foundation, the women's team. You've got Enrichment Pathways, which I'll let Ryan touch on in terms of a football perspective. All online classrooms and paperless environments, so your iPhone, your iPads, your tablets, smartphones, laptops, you can access this work from anywhere. So I know for any of the parents watching, you can very easily check in on what your son or daughter's getting up to and what work they've done, and we can have conversations very quickly. We use WhatsApp to communicate. So anybody interested after Christmas will start setting up the WhatsApp groups to have that communication, and with the students and parents this year, it's worked really well in terms of getting that information out there and making sure everyone's aware of what's going on, what the timetables are, and being able to communicate instantaneously with you as parents and staff to make sure that the students are where they need to be, and also praising the success that the students have and sharing that with parents and students alike. Progression opportunities after the course, and then our success rates as well. So just moving forward on to the next one. We'll talk about the value added stuff that we run. So I've touched on the learning mentors from a personal development, behaviour and welfare programme. So doing tutorials and workshops on life skills, on anti-bullying, on racism, on developing your own confidence and resilience when working in a job, employability skills, etc. There's a whole host of things outside of this that students and parents may not be aware of as they just initially see the BTEC Sport course, and we're very committed to developing that person and not just the student. We have a free mental health awareness and support programme in partnership with COOF, so that's an anonymous counselling service that's available to our students through an online platform that's available to them 24/7 around the clock. I've touched on the personal mentor things. We also provide maths and English research. So if you don't pass your maths and English, it doesn't mean you can't enter a course with us. What it actually means is you can come and study with us, and you can also study your maths and English and have a re-attempt at that before the course finishes over that 2-year period. We have a positive behaviour policy where you get rewarded and score points to get access to match tickets, shirts, trips and visits. We have a student voice, so every half term we will ask for every student's opinion on how we're doing as a department and how we can make things better for the individuals and the groups that are working on these programmes. I've touched on your placement mentor previously as well, and we also have guest speakers. So over the summer and during the lockdown period, we had to move everything online very quickly. The team adapted to it really well, and we actually got a lot of interaction from other guest speakers who weren't able to work at the moment. So for example, if a student was studying rules and regulations, we had Kevin Friend, the Premier League referee, coming on and doing a Zoom conversation and talking to the students about actually officiating in the Premier League with some of the best players in the world. We've had other guest speakers from TV presenters from Match of the Day, and various speakers who've actually come in and physically delivered, who've got careers in nutrition or coaching or performance analysis previously, to help guide your decision of where you want your future to go. So progression pathways, you've got the overarching one seems to be university, the foundation degree which is studying with us, some USA scholarships, an apprenticeship, traineeships or employment. So there's 5 different branches really that we will have initial advice and guidance with your learning mentors and tutors to sit down and look at what you want to achieve over the 2 years and highlight what's going to be necessary for you to make one of these next steps. If that's university, it's several careers events and personal statement events spread out over that 2-year programme to make sure that we're covering not just investing in you for this 2 years, but making sure you're in the right place to go and be successful when you leave us as well. And I'll hand over to Ryan, who's going to cover the football programme.
Yeah, so football programme, cater for elite and development men's and women's teams. So the elite teams are for students and players that want to develop their potential and look at getting into local non-league teams. So the link we've got at Amsworth, the site we run from, a lot of the players that are on the programme at the minute have gone and played for their 18s and 23s. We also cater for the development side of it, so that's for students that want to take part in football more from a social point of view and an enjoyment point of view, and maybe to help develop physical attributes within that. So the aim of the Football and Education Academy is to provide a learning environment that maximises the potential of local young footballers. To help develop knowledge and acquisition of all the modern day professional game demands, so your technical, tactical, physical and psychosocial demands. So what we offer, as mentioned before, we've got elite development centres at Amsworth FC and up at Norton Sports Centre. We've got an extensive football training and games programme, so the training programme for both men's and women's, you get 6 hours of training each week with a match day on a Wednesday. And the games programme, we look to add into additional fixtures into that to give students different experiences of different games against different opposition in maybe different environments. All the coaching is delivered by UEFA qualified and FA qualified coaches. So for our elite teams, we've got UEFA qualified coaches that work within local professional academies, and we've got FA qualified coaches that work within the community foundation and participation front. Their coaching is tailored to what the students want. So if you've got an individual within the elite group and an elite team who wants to try and progress and develop into a non-league team or try and get back into an academy system, they've got the knowledge and the experience to pass on to those students and players. The coaches working within the participation and development teams are used to creating that safe, enjoyable environment for the students to take part in. For the elite groups, we try and organise games, showcase games against academies to give them a platform to show any talent that they may have, and for the local academies, not just Sheffield United but other academies in the area, to have a look at their potential. Some of the players we've had in the past have gone on to play for the likes of Grimsby, Lincoln, so it's just not tailored towards Sheffield United Academy. Although the programme, for the elite programme, is designed to try and get students back into professional football through scholarships. And at the moment, like Joe mentioned previously, we've got a goalkeeper that trains on a weekly basis with the academy, and then just last week with one of the other players, he's gone on trial there. So every season we've always had players that have progressed into training with the academy, if not gone on to gain scholarships or great experiences of what an academy system is like. That's for players that excel both in the classroom and on the field. Added to the coaching on the field, we supplement that with strength and conditioning programmes. So our links with the universities in Sheffield, we managed to get interns in that can go and deliver within the training sessions to help develop physical attributes of the players. We can offer help and advice on developing those attributes. Match analysis is something we've introduced this year with an analysis platform model, where the games will get filmed, the coaches can clip the footage and again help and advise the students and the players on how they can develop their skills. But it's also a useful tool for the individuals to go and reflect and review their own performances, and these clips can be used on any future recruitment ventures that they want to take part in. So for example, if they want to go to America, they can build their own clips and highlights and send that off to the American scholarship companies. So, even if I'm speaking about football programme, there's a big emphasis on the education part of it as well, because like Joe mentioned before, we're trying to create students that are educationally spot on and also good people. So I think it's important that you have that support network around the player. So it's not just from a football point of view, your coaches, the physio that we've got in place, strength and conditioning and the performance analysis, the tutors within the classroom, and the families as well, a massive help and support to the students in football and education. So the progression pathway, so this is what we've got in place for both men's and women's and on both sides. So we run an elite team that competes in the National Football Youth League, which is a league based on shadow squads and shadow teams from other professional football clubs, and the standard is really good. It's the first year we've competed in that, and the elite group who won the league last year have found it really competitive this year. And we feel that's more beneficial than winning every game for that elite group. They get tested, they get challenged from a football point of view, but then from a personal point of view, when things don't go their way. We run 2 development teams, so again this is for the students that maybe want to take part just for the social interaction or for the enjoyment of football, but that doesn't limit them to not progressing into the elite team if they excel and want to take that avenue. So you could have a player that starts in the development team but really excels in his performances and his attitude and within the classroom and warrants a place in the elite team. And that can work the other way as well. If there's players within the elite team that the punctuality is not right, they're missing deadlines, they can drop down into the development team. We've done it like this to create a bit of a competitive environment to try and push the students to better themselves. Understandably, there's students and players that will be happy just training throughout the week and turning up on Wednesday, having a run around and kicking the ball around, and that's fine. We cater for that within the development teams. So, like I mentioned previously, we've had a number of successes from the programme. The one that stands out the most is Keeming Ferguson, who you can see there in the Tottenham kit. He started as a first year student. He managed to start off training with the academy, managed to get a scholarship out of that, then a 2-year pro, left Sheffield United last year and managed to secure a contract at Tottenham Hotspur, which when he joined that programme as a 16-year-old, I'm sure they wouldn't have expected to have the journey he's had and end up where he's been. Next one, James Pollard. He went through the programme, goalkeeper. He had the opportunity to go and experience training on a weekly basis down at the academy. It didn't work out for him in that sense. He's gone into playing non-league football while studying his sports coaching degree at Sheffield University, and now he's come back in with us as one of the goalkeeper coaches within the Football and Education Academy. James Sellers, Joe's mentioned previously, he's gone through the course. He's a current tutor. Nat Cross, he's had probably one of the best experiences as well, in the sense he got a scholarship at Sheffield United. I think he got a pro there, and then he's gone to America and studied at the University of Virginia. Currently, we've got Charlotte Benham and Rich Cayley, who are degree students who also work within the participation strand, working in schools, but also currently work with our teams, Charlotte, the women's team at Handsworth, and Rich with one of the development teams up at Norton. And then Max, who's top right of your picture, he's currently he's an academy analyst at Glasgow Rangers after completing his degree. So there's pathways there if you excel in football and you've got the right attitude and work ethic, that there's pathways in football and employment for the students who take part in the course.
I think just touching on that, we've then got another page of student alumni, so we can see various different students on the screen now, which again is just a snapshot of the progressions we've had as a result of the course, and you can see that from the ones Ryan's just touched on, there's a huge variety in it. We've got some having playing careers, some going into coaching, some going into teaching and education, and I think that's the big standout of doing a BTEC sport course. Like, I did a BTEC sport myself and went down the education route. Some of my other friends now work in performance analysis and strength and conditioning, because you get an overarching view of all the different subjects, and then at the end of your 2 years you will look at specialising in something, and that's what creates this variety of different progressions for everybody. So 20 students could join us next year and have 20 different jobs in the sport industry, not just football, in 5 years' time, and that's one of the biggest benefits of doing a BTEC sport course, as opposed to maybe doing a PE level and then doing 2 other A levels on the side. You're not necessarily getting that depth of the sporting world to then decide what you want to go and focus on in terms of going and getting a career within sport. I think as Ryan touched on as well, it's really important for us on the programme that, and for the parents as well, that to really reassure you that we're here to develop the student and the person and the player as a whole package, and if any of those things aren't being followed or aren't working to the best, the mentors, coaches and tutors will be working with that student or player to get them to the best of their ability. So if they're flying in the football but they're behind in their education, it's not going to go hand in hand, and they could have got 3 hat-tricks in the last 3 games, missed 3 assignment deadlines, the football opportunities may not be there. Vice versa, if the behaviour is poor in the football, it's going to have a knock-on effect to everything. So we want to make sure that the students going in the right direction, both in 3 elements of the personal element, the academic element, and from a sporting perspective as well. So what some of our students say, so like I said, every half term we get feedback, because we want to constantly be improving and adapting to the generation that we're working with in terms of the 16 to 19-year-old students. This has come out from our October half term. So 100% of tutors challenge learners to achieve more. So every single one of our students believes that our tutors challenge them to do more in the classroom. 100% of students feel safe and supported. 98% of students would recommend this course to their friends. That's both across the football perspective and the education perspective. We've got 100% of students understand the importance of attendance and punctuality. Again, that lends to the football and the education side. 100% of our students do complete their qualifications once enrolled and retained on the course. And the biggest one for us so far from last year is 75% of those learners achieved above their target grade, which again reflects in the first statistic of our tutors really challenging the students to achieve more, and not just the tutors, the coaching staff and everybody else, that they're always being pushed to do more, whether that's playing football or doing their educational studies. Uniform then, so a bit of Q&A at the end as well. We'll just go through some of the other business around the course and any costs involved. So uniform is the only thing that has a compulsory cost to it on the programme. So the kit is £200, unless you have some major growth spurts in the second year of that programme, which may happen on the other occasion. That kit should last throughout that period. Now, we used to have a method of paying into us, and we'd order the kit and we'd have to have a long wait around for the students to receive it. This year we sent out welcome packs really early, around April-May time, to the students that were interested, and we set up an online shop so you can order your kit, put your own personalised initials on it, and it will come to your house ready for September. Now, we would advise ordering that in May and June, because as I'm sure you're aware, there's not just our programme who use Adidas, but other foundations and a load of professional football clubs all wanting kit ready for August. So that's why we do emphasise May and June. But we understand if some students maybe haven't made decisions, that you do wait, and that's just to maybe expect that delay once we get into September if you've not ordered that early enough. You can see some of the girls in the kit there looking really smart this year as well. So in terms of applications, you've got 2 options. You can do both. It's absolutely fine in terms of the applications. Your school might in particular have the preference for you to do Sheffield Progress. There's no problem with you submitting it on both platforms. If you do it by Sheffield Progress, you just search SUFC on their website and it will bring up our traineeships, level 2 course, women's programme and the men's programme. If you just click the link on the course you want to apply for and follow those instructions, me and Ryan will get a notification saying that you've applied. we'll read through your application, and then you'll be invited to an interview in the new year. Now, we really emphasise getting these application forms in early, because then what that also does is gives us your contact information. So every time we've got an event such as this evening, we will always then give you the information on the key dates. So we'll have key dates up on here before we end it, but then having your email address and having that direct contact with you through the forms or Sheffield Progress, we can always be sending reminders for December taster sessions, the interviews, etc. Moving on to the upcoming events then. So on the 15th of December, and again, don't worry if you can't read the slides, it will be posted at the end, and if you've got any questions, please do stick them in the comments box as we start wrapping up the presentation. But the next key event now, obviously lockdown's ending, we're moving back into the tiers, and hopefully, because it's educational purposes, we can have students down who are interested and actually put on a really good engaging session for you to see what we actually do live in the classroom and on the training pitch. So the next one's an education taster session and a Q&A for parents. So for the men's programme, if you want to study at Handsworth, it's on the 15th of December at 6 o'clock. If you want to be studying up at Norton for the men's programme, it's the 16th of December at 6. And if you want to be joining the women's development programme, it'll be on the 17th, again, with a 6 o'clock start. If you apply on the application form, you'll find out about it. We'll give contact details at the end as well, and make sure we put our email addresses in the comments section. So if you want to find out this information, then we can repost that, but it'll be all over our social media channels anyway. Contact details. If you've got any questions outside of this, if you think of something after it's ended, or you see an event or date coming up that you're interested in, or you're struggling with an application form maybe, or you want the link resending, you've got mine and Ryan's details up there, so you can just fire us an email and ask for the application form, or give us any questions, and feel free to put your phone numbers in there. We can give you a quick phone call as well, it's not a problem at all. So we'll move on to the end. Ryan Collins is going to go through any questions that have been asked in the comments section, and if not, we've got some previous questions from students that have been emailing us before the event.
Yeah, so we've just had a few questions been sent through privately. So the first question, and this for you, Joe, is what is the entry requirements for the level 3 qualification?
So for level 3 qualification, you need to get 4 GCSEs at grade 4 or above. Now the preference for this will be maths and English included in those 4, because of the demands on the student to use numbers within their studying and their essay writing, etc. So there would be a preference on the level of maths and English. However, if you do get 4 outside of maths and English, as I said previously, you can study with us and resit those subjects. If you don't get the grades, as I mentioned earlier as well, don't panic, don't worry, bring your results in on enrolment day. We'll go through what we've got, and we will always be as flexible as we can to give students the opportunity to prove themselves. So very much in the past, a student may have been 1 grade short, and we'll give them a 6-week trial, and if they're attending every day, they're engaged and they're producing the assignment work, we will work with the student to make sure they can do that level 3 if it's right for them. Having said that, if it's level 2 you're appropriate for, join us for the level 2, and luckily for you, you get to spend 3 years with us instead of 2.
Great. A question for you, Ryan. Do we get picked on a playing ability in terms of how good I am at football?
So that's taken into consideration, but you've also got to marry that with your educational ability as well. So as mentioned previously, if you're not meeting deadlines in the classroom, you could be the best player within the programme, but you might end up playing in one of the development teams, and vice versa. There'll be opportunities for players in the development teams that will get opportunity to play the league group because they're doing well in the classroom. So we'll tier the teams will be picked on ability, football and ability, but the consideration of how well they're doing the education and the punctuality and attendance.
Thank you. Next question. So how many days a week am I expected to attend?
So at the moment, due to the COVID situation, we are on 2-day timetables, which are full days. Now this is still full-time education because it's 12 hours per week. It used to be over 4 days and now it's over 2. The current output using the 2-day model in terms of the students' grades so far this year have lent itself to maybe sticking with this delivery. The best answer we could probably give at the moment, ready for September, is that you would be expected to study with us for 12 hours a week. Now that would either be made up of 2 full days, 9 till 5, with training in the middle, or a 4-day, block where you're in for half days on each day and then training at the side of that. If you're on a level 2 course, you'll have 9 hours of study a week. If you're on a level 3, you'll have 12 hours.
Excellent. We've just had a question come in from Melanie, and she's just asked, how will you determine who plays in the elite or the development squad? So this will be aimed at you, Ryan.
So again, on the ability of the players that are in the programme. So if you play grassroots or been in an academy previously, and you can play at a decent level, you will go in the elite groups. And again, there's no stopping the fluctuation to move up or down within. So if you look at the Angel side, there's opportunity for players to move up from the first year group into the second year group. And same at Norton, where we've got the 2 development squads where players can move up into the elite group at Norton. Again, it'll be a selective process on football ability, but then there'll be that room for movement between teams and squads once we're in the system.
I think in terms of actual applications for that as well, if you just enjoy playing football, then you're more than welcome to come and study on this programme. It won't be a case of you'll be selected for the course based on your ability, and you'll have to be of a certain level to join the programme. So we have got something for everyone, but then obviously your teams and squads will be selected based on that ability.
Excellent, great. And carrying on with the football questions, when does the course start, and also is there a pre-season before the course start date?
Yeah, so the course, the education and the features start in September, beginning of September, and we try and get a pre-season that mirrors the football, the academy football season, if you like, or grassroots football season. So we start mid-July, the end of July, so it gives them effectively 6 weeks to get up to match speed, build up the fitness, get to engage with the coaches, get to know the teammates. So whether the fixtures start in September, they're good to go.
Thank you. Next question. So, is there any financial support on the course, and do students get access to bursaries to help with the cost?
So all students can apply for a bursary, like any other post-16 provision. It will mainly be based on household income. If you're approved for bursaries, you can get bursaries for kit reimbursements, for travel. So you can get bus pass vouchers direct to support you with your bus travel. We can have food vouchers. And also, like I said, we can get the uniform bursaries as well for those that are approved based on that household income. Now, the threshold for that can change on an annual basis. So very much so, when you join the course, you can get a bursary application form. It'll be a case of putting that through our providers, excuse me, League Football Education or Sheffield College.
Brilliant. Next question. So, do you run maths and English resits? And also, what happens if I don't quite get the qualifications that I first wanted?
So if you don't get the qualifications, like I said previously, don't panic. You can still join the course. It may be you have to do an alternative to bridge that gap between you doing the desired course you had initially and your maths and English lessons. You'll get an hour and a half of study per week, face-to-face delivery, but you'll also have an online platform to work on as well while you're at home. And you'll also get the opportunity to resit in November, which if you pass in your November resits, then you don't have to go to those maths and English resits anymore.
Brilliant. We've just had a question come through. Is accommodation provided for those who don't live local?
So unfortunately we won't be able to provide accommodation for the programme, so it would be a case of travelling in. So at the moment we've probably got students from as far as Huddersfield travelling in, especially for the women's pathway. From as far as I'm aware, there isn't another women's pathway within this region offering full-time education and training with the level of coaching and teaching that's available that has links with various different football clubs. So I would say if you're willing to travel, and it's the 2 days a week in particular, it might be worth the actual hours that you're spending and putting in there for the actual experience you're getting as opposed to what's on offer anywhere else.
Thank you. And next question. So when do we find out if we've got a place on the course? So say I put my application in January, when will we find out if that's gone through or not?
So we'll be responding to applications as and when they come through. We'll try and get back to you as soon as possible on them. Just for an example, from last year we had 150 interviews in the February half term. So we have a lot of applications, which is why we say get your application as early as possible, solidify your interview date. Now, your interview date is to establish your predicted grades, to get to know each other and where you live and where your timetable will be suited, and you will have a place on the programme with us. It's only on enrolment day will it decide what that place will look like and what course you're on. But for anybody who applies with us with the intentions of studying sport, whether that's at a traineeship level 2, level 3, we have got places on the course for you as students. So don't worry if you've not heard anything back within 3 or 4 days. Everybody will get an interview, and that interview won't be a formal process. It'll be for us to get to know each other and signpost what the relevant programme will be for you in September.
Thank you. We've just had a question come through from Nathan, and he's asking, would you say if Manchester's too far to travel in terms of getting to the course?
Depends on what Nathan wants to come.
And also, follow-up question from Nick. Can the girls still continue with their grassroots football alongside this course?
Yeah, so this doesn't affect what we'll be playing for outside of this programme. So this is training on a daily basis, games on a Wednesday, and we encourage them to go and play with the grassroots teams because it's a different experience we're giving, and we don't want to take them away from their social network with the friends that they built up through the time playing with the grassroots.
Brilliant. And last couple of questions. So one, what events do you have coming up, and how do I book my place on these events?
So I'll just skip back as well. So upcoming events, they're the sessions in December. We've got flyers that we will post out on social media, we'll send to schools, we'll send to your emails, which you put into the application form. So anybody, again, like I said, get that application form in, and then you'll always be contacted in the build up to the next event. So we've got education tasting session in December, then it's usually interviews in February. Obviously at the moment things are up in the air, so we'll constantly be keeping you updated on whether these things can go ahead based on government guidance. At the very worst case scenario, we would do online interviews, but we would probably look at maybe pushing them into the spring or the Easter time if we couldn't do them in February. After February, you will have attended an interview, hopefully you will confirm as a first choice, and we'll have taster sessions in April, June, July, running through right through to August. And like I said, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you'll always be able to see when these events are happening, as well as getting an email if you fill in the application form.
Great, thank you. That concludes all the questions that we've been sent through.
That's great. Thank you everybody for joining. If you do want to apply for the course, then just go to the application form in the comments section, and we'll post the slides in there for everybody who's joining this evening. Thank you very much.